Pakistan faces a dangerous moment. Coordinated military assault from across the Afghan frontier and a spike in inflammatory rhetoric from India's military leadership. Two external pressures converge, one physical, one political, and both threaten Pakistan's peace and stability. Rawalpindi's message is sober and absolute. Pakistan will defend its people and its sovereignty by every necessary means. I'm Makhdoom Shahabuddin. This is Trending Daily. Tonight we give you a clear, factual update on what happened on October 11-12 and again on October 14-15 along the Pak-Afghan border, what the ISPR has announced and what this means in the light of the Afghan Foreign Minister's trip to India and New Delhi's recent war-mongering. We'll also go out to the streets for the public pulse. Let's begin from the Western Front. On the night between October 11 and 12 and again between October 14 and 15, Pakistani border posts and villages in Spin Boldak, Chaman, Kurram and adjacent sectors faced coordinated attacks. According to the ISPR, these assaults were launched by Afghan Taliban elements and fighters identified as Fitna al-Khawarij. Attacks included small raids, mortar and heavy weapon fires and attempts to infiltrate positions and destabilize frontier districts. Pakistan's response was swift and measured. ISPR reports that precision strikes and counter raids destroyed terrorist camps, training facilities, support networks and command nodes operating from Afghan soil. On the first night of the clashes, more than 200 militants were eliminated and neutralized. In the ensuing actions of October 14-15, Pakistani forces destroyed 8 enemy posts and 6 tanks in the Kurram sector, with an estimated 25 to 30 militants killed. The human cost on our side was grave. 23 Pakistani soldiers embraced Shahadat while 29 were injured. Villagers in border communities, ISPR said every effort was taken to avoid collateral damage and protect civilians. Yet militants repeatedly used villagers as shields and even destroyed the Pak-Afghan friendship gate from their side. An act, ISPR said, reflected contempt for tribal trade and shared livelihoods. ISPR described the attacks as coordinated and not isolated incidents. Intelligence indicates further militants build-up and staging activity near the border. The armed forces remain at high alert and will continue operations to neutralize sanctuaries used for attacks against Pakistan. Social media circulated videos claiming missile launches from Afghan staging points with speculations about the use of legacy systems. Officials caution those clips remain unverified and independent confirmation is required. What is verified by ISPR is the scale, coordination and the Pakistani counter-response. Multiple militant positions destroyed, several tanks disabled and extensive damage to terrorist infrastructure on the Afghan side. Ladies and gentlemen, the timing of the attacks matter. These assaults coincided with high-profile visit by Afghanistan's foreign minister to New Delhi. Islamabad has publicly noted this timing and has raised concerns that Afghan territory is being exploited by hostile networks to strike Pakistan, while certain regional actors engage diplomatically with Kabul. Pakistan's foreign secretary briefed foreign envoys in Islamabad, underscoring a simple demand: do not allow Afghan soil to be used for terrorism against Pakistan. The message is not hostile. It is political and lawful. States cannot be permitted to allow their territories to serve as a base for attacks on neighbors. ISPR tied the timing of the assaults to wider proxy dynamics, warning that when diplomatic visits coincide with cross-border attacks, the risks of manipulation and strategic exploitation is real. Islamabad has therefore called on Kabul to take immediate, verifiable measures to dismantle the terrorist sanctuaries. ISPR statements combine factual reporting with a strategic message. Pakistan seeks peace but will not tolerate its territory being used to export terror. That message was explicit. Pakistan will take the measures necessary to defend its citizens and the sovereignty. The press note set out 3 options for those sheltering or aiding militants: handing over the militants, cooperation with the state efforts to eradicate the threat, or be prepared to face state action. This is clear articulation of a doctrine. Diplomacy first, persistent neutralization second. The intent is to pressure the Taliban government to act while retaining the option of kinetic measures to deny sanctuaries to militant networks. Concurrently, Islamabad has faced a new wave of provocative rhetoric from Indian military leaders. ISPR publicly criticized those statements as manufactured, politically timed, and dangerous. Rhetoric that stokes jingoism and may be intended to justify further destabilizing acts. Pakistan has consistently warned that some hostile elements aim to use Afghan space as a second front, aligning proxies and political narratives to force Pakistan into a two-front crisis. The Afghan Foreign Minister's New Delhi trip and the coincident messaging from Indian military figures heighten the risk of strategic coordination between hostile actors. ISPR rejected inflated casualty claims from Indian sources and warned that attempts to rewrite reality about earlier clashes are part of a broader information campaign. The Pakistani response is procedural and firm. Do not conflate rhetoric with fact, and do not use diplomatic engagement as a cover for proxy operations against Pakistani soil. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard the official line. Now let's hear from the people. Do ordinary Pakistanis support continued restraint, or do they want decisive action until sanctuaries are eliminated? Here is the public pulse. अभी हालिया दोबारा से पाकिस्तान को धमकियां देना शुरू कर दी हैं, गालिबन वो कोई जंग करना चाह रहा है, फिर अफगान साइड से भी एक जंग शुरू हो चुकी है, तो टू फ्रंट वॉर जो है वो पाकिस्तान पे शायद वेज करने की कोशिश हो रही है. क्या कहेंगे इस हवाले से, और व्हाट डू यू थिंक पाकिस्तान आर्मी को क्या करना चाहिए?
आई थिंक बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है, हर जगह से इसका मसला आ रहा है, पाकिस्तान को इश्यूज़ चल रहे हैं, बट पाकिस्तान को मेरे ख्याल में ये करना चाहिए कि दोनों तरह से जो मज़ाहमत आ रही है उनको बैठ के हल किया जाए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जंग के कोई वो नहीं है, जंग करके कोई भी चीज़ सॉल्व नहीं हो सकती. ये तारीख भी गवाह है कि जंग करके कोई भी चीज़ सॉल्व नहीं हुई. तो हमें
इस पर मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि जंग जो है वो किसी भी मसले का हल नहीं है. अच्छा, जंग से कोई भी चीज़ मतलब जीती नहीं जा सकती है. जंग से और हालात ख़राब होंगे, यहाँ के भी और वहाँ के भी. तो हमें अवॉइड करना चाहिए इस चीज़ से और अमन कायम करने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए दोनों अतराफ़ के लोगों को, पॉलिटिशियंस को, और हर उस बंदे को जिसमें इख्तियार है कि वो अच्छा इस मामले में कुछ कर सकता है, तो अमन कायम करना चाहिए.
इस पर यही कहेंगे कि इंडिया जो है बाज नहीं आ रहा, तो लिहाजा पिछली बार आसम मुनीर साहब ने जो इनकी मुँह की बल मारी है, तो दोबारा से मेरे ख्याल से इनको पढ़नी है, उसकी तभी बाज आनी है. और आज से तकरीबन जंग को 4 महीने हो चुके हैं, आज वो कह रहे हैं कि हमने उनके इतने बंदे मारे और इतने मिसाइल गिराए. सब हुए, सब बोंगिए हैं, और ऐसे अब भी बोंगियाँ मारते रहेंगे, और हम इंशाल्लाह आने वाले वक्त में जम्मू से बात कर रहे होंगे इसी तरीके से.
पाकिस्तान के ख़िलाफ़ जब वो आए थे तो उनको मुँह की खानी पड़ी थी, तो अब एक बार और फिर कोशिश कर लें, फिर आ जाएँ, हम तैयार हैं. पाक आर्मी जिंदाबाद.
जी, पाकिस्तान कोई ऐसा मुल्क नहीं है कि जो सफ़े हस्ती से मिटाया जाए. इस्लाम के नाम पर बने हैं और यहाँ पे हमारे पाक फ़ौज जो है वो डट के खड़ी है. पहले भी उनको हमने भरपूर तरीके से जो है ना जवाब दिया था, और अभी भी जो है ना वो अफ़गानिस्तान के थ्रू हमारे बॉर्डर्स पे जो है ना सहूलतकारी कर रहा है, और जिसका अफ़गानिस्तान को भी हमने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से जवाब दिया. और इंशाअल्लाह आने वाले टाइम में भी इस तरह की अगर कार्रवाई की जाए या कोई इंडिया को गलत फहमी है तो उसका जो है ना बहुत अच्छे अंदाज में जवाब दिया जाएगा. बहुत शुक्रिया
सर. इसमें ये है कि इंडिया ने पहले भी एक दफ़ा कोशिश कर चुका है वो, और उसने वेट करके सारी चीज़ें अपने सारे आलात इस्तेमाल करके जिस तरह से उन्होंने पाकिस्तान पे अटैक किया था उसका वो सबक चख चुके हैं, और अच्छे से पाकिस्तानी आर्मी ने और हमारे सिपा सलार ने उनको अच्छे से जवाब दिया. तो इसमें ये है कि सर अगर ये अफ़गानिस्तान को भी शामिल कर लें या इन जैसे एक दो और को भी शामिल कर लें, तो जैसे इनको सबक सिखाया वैसे मज़ीद इंशाल्लाह इससे भी अच्छा सबक उन्हें सिखाएंगे इंशाल्लाह.
Welcome back to the studios. This border is not merely a military line. It is a living network of people, markets and families. For more than 4 decades, Pakistan hosted millions of Afghan refugees, a humanitarian burden the country accepted willingly. Today, however, the same human flows are being weaponized by militants who hide among civilians. ISPR emphasized that Pakistan's martyred actions aim to protect both security and humanitarian safety, avoiding civilian harm where possible, restoring order and ensuring cross-border trade and tribal ties are not destroyed by militant opportunism. But the argument is straightforward. Security first, followed by orderly humanitarian procedures. If Afghan territory continues to be used against Pakistan, the consequences will extend beyond bilateral tensions. Pakistan has appealed to the regional partners, China, Gulf states and Western capitals to press Kabul for verifiable action. If the Taliban government fails to act, Pakistan may restrict trade, transit and diplomatic engagement until the sanctuaries are dismantled. The international community must decide whether it will treat cross-border terrorism as a security problem or as a geopolitical theater. Pakistan's position is clear. Terrorism exported via another state's territory is breach of sovereignty and cannot be tolerated. Ladies and gentlemen, ISPR's posture is calibrated. Diplomacy, intelligence cooperation, and persistent neutralization where necessary. Pakistan will continue to brief international partners, will keep its forces on high alert, and will undertake targeted actions to dismantle sanctuaries if Kabul does not act. These measures will be proportional, aimed at degrading militant capabilities and protecting civilians. The underlying rationale is deterrence, to make the cost of using Afghanistan as a base for attacks prohibitively high. To Kabul, seize the use of your soil for attacks and deliver verifiable action against militants. To New Delhi, do not exploit Afghan instability to wage hybrid or proxy campaigns against Pakistan. To the international community, support efforts that diffuse tensions and hold accountable those who use state or proxies to export terror. Pakistan's demands are simple and just. Peace built on responsibility, not on convenient denials and double standards. Ladies and gentlemen, the recent nights of violence show a troubling pattern. Local militants empowered by sanctuaries, timed attacks coinciding with diplomatic visits that risk strategic exploitations, and a neighboring power's rhetoric that fans the flames. Pakistan's response must be firm, legal and united. Security operations must be matched with diplomatic pressure and international accountability. The nation must stand together for our soldiers, for our civilians, and for the sovereignty we all share. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pakistan Connect for more episodes of Trending Daily. This is Makhdoom Shahabuddin signing off.